So what is the difference between sisters and brothers? Now, you got to look at your life sort of like blessed in the situation how it was designed to be. I really believe in like fate in that sense, and so like you're gonna learn what you need to learn in the situation, the context, the conditions that you're raised in. But with that in mind, there's pros and cons to everything. So I'm gonna just share like a little bit of perspective and just kind of ramble on that subject of what's it, pros and cons of having sisters, pros and cons of having brothers, because it's kind of just an interesting topic. But and I think it goes deeper than just your immediate siblings. So like what I'll ask you this question: what's the difference between sisterhood and brotherhood? Okay, the difference is vast and drastic and stark. Sisterhood is a much different battlefield, support system, whatever you want to call it, than brotherhood is. Okay, brotherhood has a much different agenda. Men and women are just different, okay? Mars and Venus. But I'll tell you, like, what are men interested in? Men are interested in, I mean, there's a lot of overlap, but what it seems, and I'm trying to talk from experience, not from theory, but it seems like what are men interested in? Conquering, right? We want sex with a lot of different women. We want to conquer land. We want power. We want control. We want ownership. We want, like, we thrive on power. We love that, okay? And like earned power, not just given power, but like you work hard and you're good at what you do, and you are it gives you a sense of empowerment. Obviously women like power in their own way too. So I think like two caveats here, like yeah, whatever I'm saying can be contradicted. And then number two, just don't take it so offensively or literally. It's just like, these are just ideas here. But so yeah, I'm just gonna tell you that's what men do. Look at history, right? Like, it's not really bands of women forming governments. It's not really bands of women starting or fighting in wars. It's not really women who are collectively having, like, I mean, maybe they are in a different way, but like I was gonna say like conquering or voyaging and stuff like that, adventuring. Because like, I don't know, there's just something to adventure, right? Adventure, conquering, sex. There's something to all those things. If you just, and again, these aren't even my words, I'm just literally looking at history and human behavior. So judge people by what they do, not what they say. But as far as sisterhood, like sisters and whatnot, here's the deal with sisters. Like, I guess every family's gonna be different, and like, I think I'm gonna present this idea, but I think it can be pretty quickly attacked and dismantled. But it's sort of like the notion of like women are like hubs for families, okay? They're sort of like, they're just like the center of families. They just are. Like, the mother-child relationship's very strong. The father is obviously a strong presence, but is just very different compared to the mother. So like, mothers are gonna have, and women are gonna have, a very strong presence in a family as far as family building. But when you think about men, it's like they're going, I want to say this, men and women start families for in different ways, I guess. I would say like women are starting families and they sort of get absorbed. They just become so much into that family that, like, there's no saving them. They can't help it. It's just nature. It's like the motherhood becomes so absorbed in their, we could talk nuclear family, but that's just kind of what it is. And then whereas men also are very involved in their family too. I think what I'm trying to say here is, like, the way I look at siblings or people is, like, we're all kind of like the same spirit, just different bodies and whatnot. And we're just like, we're all moving, like, outward to, like, in space, like, you know, like, matter is expanding. So going elsewhere, right, where there's space. That's kind of like how people are too. Like, you want to take your, like, genes and, like, quite literally, like, your biology, and, like, start your own family, your own shit, your own empire elsewhere. And I think that's, like, I think men and women both do that. But I guess that's, like, very nuclear family-esque. What I was going to say about Brotherhood, though, is, like, it's very culturally strong. I guess both of those things are. But especially Brotherhood, like, that's, like, the fabric, I would argue. Well, family is basically the fabric of society. Like, we have maps, right? Maps of all the states and the cities and all that stuff. But when you really think about society is not exactly on a map, right? It's more like physical bodies and our mental awareness of each other and our, quite literally, like, our biological relations. So, like, that's not, you can't really put that on a map, because first of all, it's constantly, like, moving and stuff like that. But I will tell you, like, we could say lineage, there are family trees and lineage, and, like, just ethnically, stuff like that. You can identify, but it's hard to pinpoint where society is. Like, obviously we see people driving or walking or going to work or working jobs, but as far as, like, the real society, you got to think in terms of power structure and who's in control. Like, let's just admit probably the majority of us are, like, very working class, okay, living, like, we have to work paycheck to paycheck and stuff like that. But there's definitely a big class of people who are just inherently wealthy. Like, they're not working minimum wage jobs and saving every week so that they can, fly business class or stay in hotels or travel to expensive resorts, or just basically, like, live in a really big home, big property, wealthy community, own cars, like, family has, like, stakeholder interest in massive companies. Like, that's a level of wealth that most people aren't exposed to and don't even know about, but is very much there, and that's, like, the power structure. And I think that shit's strong. Like, you can't even fuck with that, because that's like family wealth. And I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, is, like, that's why brotherhood and sisterhood and family is just very important, because like, it's just the fabric of society. So, like, you don't want to give up on those things, for sure. But it's just very interesting, because, like, in the United States, we're made up of many ethnicities, whereas, like, in other countries, it's very mono-ethnic. So it's very, like, you're quite literally talking or running into, like, cousins, second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins. But in the United States, it's like you're literally dealing with different ethnicities. So just think about, like, it's just an interesting like if you, I'm not going to talk about this too much, but think about who's ethnically really, like, who owns the United States, right? It's kind of obvious and stuff like that, white people. But European heritage stuff, and that's cool and everything. It's not the natives, I'll tell you that. Like Native Americans, they're not running the US government. But look, countries are just countries. That's history and shit. Who knows how like the future is gonna go, but it's kind of like, it's just an interesting, it's a very interesting world. How you end up rolling, we're all kind of fruit from the same tree type thing, and then how you end up rolling down that hill, and you'll plant your seeds and then just keep going, and then kind of whatever was in the past doesn't even matter type shit. So like, who knows what the world's gonna look like in 50 years, 100 years, both politically, ethnically, all that, right? It's just gonna become like a cooler and cooler place probably. But yeah, I mean, as far as society goes, just, you know, if you're a homeboy, you're a man, like, recognize that your brotherhood is very important. Don't give up on it. If you're a woman, realize that your sisterhood is really important. You know, we make new networks all the time, like through work, through, you know, school, let's say, work. So we're constantly changing and improving and stuff like that. So I think I'll probably just leave this video as it is. I'm not sure how helpful that is.